looked at her mother and said earnestly, "I won't, Mom." Her mother gently eased her hand from Miriam's face, then let out another heavy sigh. "I remember when your father's cousin left here. Abner was no more than your age at the time. He chose not to be baptized. We were shocked." Mom leaned back on her hands like Miriam. "Did he go to Indiana?" Miriam knew that her great-grandparents relocated here from Indiana. She'd been asked plenty of times what she was doing in Lancaster County with a name like Raber, an Indiana Amish name. "No, your dad said Abner went to Texas with $300 in his pocket and even took rides from strangers to get there. Evidently, he had been corresponding with a man there about a job for months before he left. A job building Amish furniture." Mom sat up and folded her arms across her chest. "Have you seen Abner since he left?" Mom nodded. "Only twice, for each of his parents' funerals. It's a shame, too, because your dad and Abner were close when they were young." "But you said he wasn't baptized into the community, so he wasn't shunned, right? He could have come to visit, no?" "Yeah." Mom stood up and smoothed the wrinkles from her black apron. "But Texas is a long way from here, and things between him and his folks weren't good. They never did accept his choices." Mom paused for a moment, then looked down at Miriam. "I remember that Abner met Janet not long after he arrived in Texas, and they were wed 2 years later. Then along came Shelby." Her mother shook her head. "After that, we heard less and less from your dad's cousin. But evidently his furniture was popular with the English there, and he went on to own a big fancy store of his own. We got a letter every now and then, but—" Mom picked up the stack of folded towels on the bed, then placed them in the laundry basket. "I met Janet, Shelby's mother, when they came here for Sarah May's funeral, which is when I met Shelby. But she was only 4 years old, so I doubt she remembers much." Miriam tried to think of what she remembered from when she was 4 years old. Not much. "I liked Janet a lot, and we exchanged letters for a while after they were here. But I hadn't heard from her in years, until last month." Mom bit her lip and was quiet for a few moments. "Anyway, as you know, Shelby doesn't have any brothers or sisters, and the only life she has known has included electricity and all the modern conveniences the English have. Things will be different for her here." She picked up the basket, then smiled at Miriam. "But God is sending her here for a reason. I think the maidel needs time for healing." "This is a good place for that, I think." Miriam gave a final glance around her room. She dusted her oak rocking chair and chest of drawers and swept the hardwood floors after putting fresh linens on the bed. She'd even slipped a sprig of lavender in the top drawer of the chest, one of 2 drawers she had cleaned out for Shelby to use. She was excited for her cousin to arrive, but her thoughts drifted to Pequea Creek, where she knew her girlfriends were gathering. On Saturday afternoons during the summer, the older girls in her district met at the creek to watch the young men show off their skills by swinging on a thick rope from the highest ledge and dropping into the cool water below. Saul Fisher would be there. He was always there, and just the thought of him made Miriam's heart flip in her chest. "My chores are done, Mom. Can I take the spring buggy to the creek for a while?" Her mother was heading out the door, but turned briefly. "I guess so, but I'd like for you to be home before Shelby arrives." Miriam nodded. Once her mother was gone, she opened the drawer to her nightstand, then pulled out the thin silver ankle bracelet she'd bought at the market in Bird-in-Hand. She knew Leah and Hannah would be wearing theirs too, and she liked the way the delicate chain looked dangling from her ankle. She sat down on the bed and fastened the tiny clasp. Her father frowned every time he saw the inexpensive purchase, but Miriam knew her parents wouldn't say anything, since she was in her Rumspringa. She stood up and walked to the open window.